Okay, we should be live now. Hopefully, decent amount of people here for it can ask questions in the chat. Me, Sarge, here with ET.
There we go.
Oh, let's go ahead and mute that. Doesn't come through like 4 times. Okay, so this was ET's idea to do a quick little live stream and kind of go over it with you guys, how to find the rules for Competitive ShotZone and how to sort of understand how they are, because they are a little different than what most players are used to. Something we noticed from the first tournament we've ever done with it. There was some confusion about certain things. So it was his idea to sit down here and go over it and answer any questions you guys may have. So, to find the rules, go to shotzoneindy.com/tournaments. Should be pinned in the live chat there. You can also find it by just going to shotzoneindy.com and then clicking on tournaments here. And that will take you to this. Not only can you register for tournaments here, but read the official rules here. We'll open up a new link that will take you to the rules sheet. Starting out, it's sort of your simple, just kind of defining words. You know, who's a player, who's a captain, what referees are, what the teams are, our unsportsmanlike behavior. All that should be pretty standard for just about any other tournament that you may have been to. This is a big one here. The audience members are not allowed to speak and give direction. Other places have it, but that's just a real big one that a lot of people watching, if you bring family, friends, subs, captains, anything like that aren't on the field, that is a big one. We're pretty strict about that one. Round time is still the same. I'm sorry?
Another one to highlight there is the third bullet point in player and captain responsibilities. Any rule not covered here is left at the direct discretion of the head referee.
Yes.
So that is for basically anything that could potentially be overlooked or might be directly addressed in the rules. It's completely at the discretion of the head ref at that tournament. So.
Yep. And the head ref can be anybody that's one of the referees there. It's either going to be myself or Lumberjack usually, but it could be any referee that we have there. Time is still 3-minute rounds unless specified differently, like we did in our pistol shotgun tournament. We specified that it was 2 minutes, but if we don't say a time, it will always be 3 minutes per round. You'll play 3 rounds, unless after 2 rounds the score is such that even if you scored max points in the 3rd round, you can't win. We'll opt to not play that 3rd round, just for time's sake. Just because there's no point in it. There's nothing you can gain out of it. But at most, you'll get a maximum of 12 minutes for an entire match. That'll be the most amount of time a match can be, and that's with the 1-minute intermission in between rounds for reloading, sub swapping, and stuff of that nature. Game sequence, you'll each get a side. We have on our air bunkers, we have start gate bunkers there. You'll go to eat your designated start bunker. You'll shoot just to show that you have a proper functioning tracer unit and all that stuff. Both teams, you'll start with your gun barrels on the wall and at least 1 foot touching the designated start gate. So not on the wall, but on the actual bunker itself.
On the gate.
Yeah, on the little start gate bunkers. They're about waist high. You'll have a barrel touching that and a foot touching that.
There was some confusion at the last one that people were actually getting false starts because they were not keeping a foot on the gate. So it's very important that you have both your barrel tip touching the gate, and that is important that it is the tip of the barrel and not just your gun. So you can't have, say, your gun, the top of your gun, right on the gate. That would put the other team at a disadvantage for their start. So
Yeah, so barrel tips on the bunker and at least 1 foot on the bunker, on the start gate bunker. The head ref or whoever's calling it will pick a color side. We've got flags hanging up. We have a blue one and a black one. So they'll say, blue side, are you ready? Black side, are you ready? Stand by. And then a bullhorn will sound. You go on the bullhorn. We do have a timer that beeps. It is not the beeps of the timer. It'll either be a bullhorn or a audible sound of the ref will say go if for whatever reason the bullhorn's not working. It will never be the beeps of the timer. Subs are allowed between each round, just like any place else. Injury substitutions are permissible. Only players that can't be substituted are those DQ'd for penalties. They cannot be substituted during the match in which the disqualification occurred. Now, I ask you, Ethan, can they be substituted in the next round?
if they have an active sub on the roster, then it would just be that sub
Okay.
stepping in their place versus, say, swapping them out. So
Yeah. Yep. So if you get DQ'd in game 1 for whatever reason for the rest of the tournament, you play that rest of that match down a man, and then your next match, if that sent you into losers, your next match you could sub in and be back up to 5.
unless you don't have a sub on your roster, and then you're down to 4 for the rest of the tournament. So
Yeah. Yeah, your subs do have to be on your active roster before the tournament starts. Which that should be the same with any other place. If it's not, you know it now. It's definitely, they need to be on your active roster before the start of the tournament in order to be considered a sub.
And another thing I wanted to touch base on is the injury substitutions. They're permissible after the round has ended. The injured player that is substituted out in between the matches will not be allowed to participate in the remaining events of the tournament / day. So you can't just sit out one game and then come back in and play the next game. If
Okay.
that makes sense.
Yeah, if it's an injury substitution.
Correct.
Yeah. So this is where a lot of the confusion came, was when a game concludes, and the game objectives. So your game objectives is to eliminate the opposing team as 1, to obtain the flag in the middle of the field and capture it with the opposition still in play. So they need to have at least 1 player left in the game in order for you to capture the flag, which is like touching it on their start gate. We'll get to that in the next part. The flag is in play until the final member of the opposition is eliminated, because once the opposition is eliminated, that is one of the ways to end the game. But once that occurs, you can't score any additional points with the flag. So if you have already captured the flag and you have possession of it, and you eliminate all the other players, you can't get points for hanging the flag, like in some other ones. It's game over right there. Once you have obtained the flag, you want to try to maintain uninterrupted control of it, and then touching the opposition's start gate with or without possession of the flag. We saw, I think it was Houdini.
Yep.
He did it once, and he tried to do it again. He was in a 1v1, and he just went over and touched the start gate. That was when you touch the start gate, even if you don't have the flag. That's a team wipe, because you reach the other start gate, so you get all the points for elimination on a team wipe if you touch the start gate, even if you don't have the flag. Doing it with the flag will just grant you more bonus points. Doing it without the flag is the same as if you have eliminated everyone.
Yeah, it's also a 25-point bonus.
Yes. Yeah, for a live enemy gate reach. Yeah, on the scoring.
Bunker Buster. That's right, Ghost.
Yep, we'll get to that. We'll get to the scoring more there. But yeah, so the game concludes. Team A wins, or the game is concluded once Team A eliminates all of Team B, or Team A reaches Team B's start gate with the flag or without the flag while a member of Team B is still alive. So there's 3 ways to actually end the game in our rule set. It's not like other ones where there's only one way, and it's you have to get the center flag and hang it on the opposing team's start gate, and that ends it. Ours ends 3 ways, and it's a bit more tactical. You can sort of play the the more rush approach of just go in and eliminate everyone and not worry about the center flag or touching the gate, or you can try to play the points game, which is a big deal. And even in ours still, you can try to play that points game of like, I want to obtain the flag, and do we want to try to hang it, or do we just want to eliminate? Because when we get down to the scoring, you'll see how that can play out and work better for both teams, no matter how you choose to do it.
It also keeps the entirety of the field in play versus isolating the attention of the team to one, or just basically focusing on one point.
Yeah. Yes, it does. So on scoring, our eliminations are worth a little bit more than some of the other ones, I believe. Our eliminations are 10 points per elimination. First flag grab is 25, and that's the first person to gain possession of the center flag. You get a flag control bonus just by grabbing the center flag and holding on to it until the end of the game. So you can grab the flag, hold on to it, and then eliminate everybody. And that's 100 points right there for that one. Then you can get bonus points for a live flag hang. You get an additional 25 bonus points if you hang the flag while there is a player still alive. And then you also get the 25 bonus points for reaching the enemy gate while somebody is alive. You can also get the enemy gate reach 25 bonus points without the flag. In that example, like Houdini did in that 1v1 where he went over and touched the gate. He got 50 points for the eliminations. The team got 50 points for all eliminations, and then an additional 25 for a live enemy gate reached.
Which that actually ended up winning them that round.
Yeah, I believe it did. Yeah, I think that's what it
That
was.
was the difference.
Yep. Penalties are pretty much the same as any of the other ones that you've had. We have the majors and the minors. A no call, an intentional no call is a major, minus 25 points. That's determined by the referee on site. You've got your headshot no call major. That's an instant DQ. The late call, that's your minus 25, or you get hit and you keep making the play. Your off-field communication from spectators, team, player, all that, and then your dead player communication. So if a dead player communicates, I'm asking this as a question, Ethan. If a dead player communicates to his team, would that be both off-field and dead player communication penalties? Or are we separating those for off-field is more spectators, and then dead player is someone in the dead box?
Correct. So off-field communication would be somebody like you had mentioned, spectators, and then dead player communication would be either having non-verbal signals that could be developed, or just saying, like, telling your teammate where the other person is, or telling them to watch out as you're walking off after you've been eliminated. That is all considered forms of dead player communication.
Okay. All right. And then off-field would just be for spectators?
Well, the verbiage is there for spectators or players from even potentially other teams from that particular team.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So you can't. So for instance, dead player is in the dead box and has been there for a little bit, and then they communicate something that wouldn't be off-field communication and dead player. It's still just dead player.
correct.
Okay, got it. So they don't stack on each other. They're
Correct.
two separate ones, but they function in the same way.
Yep.
Your equipment violation. This one here is when you use non-regulation, such as double triggers. If you're shooting over the joule limit, in your F's,
Binary.
yeah, binary, if you use full auto, anything like that, that is a DQ right there. So make sure if you have the ability to, you definitely want to semi-lock your FCUs or MOSFETs if your MOSFET can do that, or find any way to semi-lock it, because that's a big one there.
It is subject to interpretation, though. If it's obviously very unintentional,
Yeah.
it's completely up to the head ref as far as how that's handled. But obviously, we understand that we're all humans, but that is a very serious thing.
Yeah, intentional is what will result in the DQ. Non-intentional, as you can see, all the penalties are minus 25 points. If it's determined as unintentional by the ref, then it'll just be a minus 25 point penalty there. The field disruption, when a player significantly moves barriers during a match, intentional or unintentional, or climbs over the barriers. If you haven't played here before, we use air bunkers. They're not staked down onto our turf. They're on weights. It's very easy to move them, and we understand that. So when we say significantly moves the barrier, if those weights are coming off the ground, or we have to...
Which is very difficult to do.
Which is difficult to do, yeah. It's easy to move them, like kind of get them to kind of move back and forth, but if the weights come off the ground, any one of the weights on it, or it has to be repositioned by a ref, that is what we're considering significantly moving of the barrier. Blind fire, most anybody who plays should know what blind fire is.
I wanted to address this, though, with the implementation of our plexi that we added. With the plexi, you have to treat the plexiglass as if it were a solid structure. You can't keep your mask behind the plexi and then reach your rifle / pistol, whatever you're using, around the side of the plexiglass and shoot.
Yeah, a good example is if a good way to make sure you're never blind firing is if your replica is exposed, your head needs to be exposed. Yep. So wherever your replica is, your head needs to be in that vicinity of the replica. You can't sit behind the plexi and hold your over the top or off to the side. And then referee influencing, that would be sort of saying something directly to a ref. I know I heard it out there. Some teams were yelling, get him out of there, get him out. I don't know if that was interpreted as referee influencing for that one. It could be, but I think just saying that, because that could be a communication between players.
Right.
What I've always got it as and used it as, and you can correct me on it, is if you're like looking at a referee and saying something to them directly, but just playing the game and yelling, get him out of there, or that stuff like that. I wouldn't say that's referee influencing, because they're still playing the game while saying it. But if they're like looking at a referee and like saying, get him out of there, or pointing at him and this, that, and the other, that would be referee influencing.
I would say that yelling, get out of there, or get him out of there, could be considered unsportsmanlike conduct. So that's definitely something you want to stray away from. Yeah,
it could be considered that. And again, that's up to the discretion of the referees on the field.
Correct.
On that one. But yeah, I wouldn't say that would be considered referee influence, but it could be unsportsmanlike conduct. And then we get into the unintentional no call. It's if you didn't intentionally get it, like let's say it caught you in the pack or something like that, and it's not one you would have felt, we'll chalk it up as an unintentional. You should be paying attention if your pack or something like that gets hit. You'll get pulled and then just get the minus 25 there. The flag drop. So you once you have possession of the flag, you must maintain control of it. You can't pass it off to somebody because that would be, or drop it on the ground for any reason. You have to keep it in your hand. When you get eliminated, you have to drop the flag where you're at. So that would that penalty there, that minus 25, eliminates that first flag grab bonus. It helps, because you didn't maintain control of it. You have the late flag drop, so if you get hit and you don't immediately drop the flag, you kind of walk a couple steps and then drop the flag, like more out in the open or not where you were, or closer to your teammate, so maybe they could grab it and try to run it in. That's where your late flag drop's going to come in.
And there is a 1 meter grace period, like grace area in that to take into consideration. Obviously, if you're trying to get off the field and you drop it and it's in that 1 meter, then you don't accrue those penalties. So
yeah. A good rule of thumb though as a player is just when you're hit, just drop it where you're at and get off the field. But yeah, you do get that 1 meter grace, and then the false start, like we talked about earlier. This was causing problems at the last one. Your 1 foot or your weapon barrel not touching the gate, or wall, depending on. These rules are written to be played at more than just our facility. Yeah, more than just at ShotZone. So we have the start gate bunker there. If it's a wall, it's the same thing. Same rules apply. It's just ours is the bunker. A slow field exit. So when you're eliminated, when you get hit, and you put your hand up and you're walking off the field, taking your time and just kind of being lazy about it, or an unnecessarily long route to get to your dead box, will result in a penalty. Easiest way to avoid that one is when you get eliminated, just run to the nearest wall and then start walking towards your dead box from there. And then
so Indy had a question on the side that's touching the line. They step midline and not cross onto the green against the wall. Is that out, or any of the white line considered out? I think you have to touch it, cross into the green, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, so
right,
so on the out of bounds lines, you can stand on the white line as fine. Standing on it is fine. The minute you cross over the white line into the green where the referees are standing, that is considered out of bounds. You are allowed to lean over the line. Something has to be touching the grass. But if you're leaning and, like, let's say you lean and you like bump the outside wall, that is, you touch something that is over that line, so you are out of bounds.
And then Ghost said, so I had an issue with dead box. To be clear, the only dead boxes are in the corners and not the ones next to the start gate. In open play, we use that, and I did out of habit at the tourney. That is correct for now, Ghost. We are potentially looking at making an alteration to that to help streamline some of the processes. But if that is adjusted, we will make sure that you guys are aware of it before tourney start. And then Sam had a question. So the flag must be in your hand, no pocket or stuck in chest rig. That is correct, Sam.
Yes, must be in your hand.
And the backlines on starting points are in, correct? So the backlines are also considered out of bounds unless you are starting.
Yes, the only time the backlines are not considered out of bounds is at the start of the game when you're on the start gate.
Okay. Back to the slow field exit. That's one of the things that we're potentially looking at changing for the dead box ghost. That way that we can help expedite the process of getting guys off the field so they don't potentially have to cross over the entirety of the field. But that is one that we've been kind of lenient on enforcing, but we are definitely going to be cracking down on that as we get more progressively enforce these rules as they are more widely spread.
Yeah.
right, so I think we are on referee distraction.
Renzo there. We were flagged 25 points for not having both feet and barrel on the breakout wall. We only had barrel. I do believe it does not say anything about this in the direct rules. Can you confirm that for me? Yes, I can. It is, where is that? Right here in the games, right here in the game sequence section. Both teams will start with gun barrels and at minimum 1 foot touching the designated gate. And then the penalty for that is the false start penalty right here. Each breakout, early breakout, feet-sized weapons not touching the wall, etc., as determined by the ref. Right, and then referee distraction. This one would be if you're communicating with a referee after you've been hit or are being pulled. So if a referee is pulling you and then you start, arguing with them saying I wasn't hit or that wasn't me or stuff of that nature, the only communication that should happen between players and refs is during matches is between by the team captain, and that should be done.
Well, none during them.
Yeah. Well, when it says during the matches, it means during the breaks in between each round of the match. So
Correct.
team A and Team B are playing. They start round 1. There's no communication with the refs during that round 1. Then there's that 1 minute intermission between rounds. That is the only time there should be any communication with the ref. And the only person who should be doing that is the team captain. No one else.
Another thing that we had with this that was an issue until we implemented the flashlight ban is we had people actually strobing refs to get them to look away and shooting them to get them to flinch, to not pay attention. So that would also be
that
something
would be
that taken into consideration.
So that would be the referee distraction in there. Yeah, anything that you can do that would distract a referee, whatever it is, that's not something. And we get that as refs, we understand we're going to get hit where we are. But we're talking about intentionally shooting at them. We understand if you're making a play for somebody and it hits us, it hits us. It's more of the intentional. You're coming around on one of the corners to shoot down the wire, and as you're coming around that corner to get down the wire, you're not pre-firing as you're coming around the corner, but you're kind of coming around and stopping on a ref and shooting a couple times and then moving down the wire. Or let's say you're on that corner and you want your snake player to move up, you'll kind of shoot the ref to get him to kind of look over at you and away from the snake player, so he can move up and maybe get hit and it not get pulled for it. That's kind of what we're getting at with the referee distraction there.
Yeah. Ghost said, I could be wrong, but our captain told us about the foot and barrel thing after the captain's meeting. So I assume it was mentioned in the meeting since we don't practice that out of habit. That is something that should be mentioned before every tournament in the captain's meeting and in the overall meeting. So that chances are very high that it was mentioned.
Yeah, that should. I know Lumberjack did that meeting, and I know that's one thing he always touches on, that and the out of bounds, and then the feathering, which I think we may have skipped over that. If we did,
are you talking about in the rules section?
Yeah.
No, that's further down. I think
because that was the next big confusion one.
Classifications, I believe.
Yeah. So under enforcement is like we've been saying, it is you get colored wristbands, and it's up to the ref's discretion on if too many minors results in a major DQ, or too many majors results in a DQ. That is the ref's discretion. Minors do reset for each match. They don't carry over. Majors are the only thing that carries over. In between matches. Then this here just goes into more definition of communication after elimination, which we already touched on. We were talking about that there. Class regulations. So all classes of
You skipped eliminations. The definition.
Oh, the definition of I thought we touched on it, but anything that you are holding when you walk onto the field, if it gets hit, it counts as you getting hit. If you shoot each other at the same time, then that would be a trade. You're both eliminated. Dry fires don't count. Ricochets don't count. Friendly fire does count. If you get hit with a BB and it was not a ricochet, it counts as you getting hit. We have no minimum engagement distance, so there's no verbal bang bang kills and no melee kills. But that's something that I think just about every place does that except for the replicas. For us, replica hits do count as a hit because that is something that is attached to you. We touched on communication after elimination, and then the class regulations. So all replicas are chronoed at the 1.1 joule limit. You must have a tracer unit and compatible tracer BBs. We don't specify whether they're red or green. They just have to be tracers. All magazines must be mid caps. Drum magazines, high caps, DIY magazines are strictly prohibited. So it's got to be an off-the-shelf mid cap. All replicas must use semi-auto only. No other modes of firing will be allowed or tolerated. So binary, full auto, and ramping. So one trigger pull equals one shot. No feathering or walking of the trigger on any replica will be permitted. On all replicas, the webbing of your thumb must always stay in contact with the rear of the grip. So
there you go, Indy. Indy just asked about that in the chat.
Yeah, so that's when it says thumb wrap, that's what we're talking about. That webbing between the in between the index finger and your thumb, all the way around to your thumb, must remain in contact with the grip when pulling the trigger, and there's like there should be no vibrating of the hand, which is still like doing the feathering motion where you weren't holding it, but you just got your hand wrapped. It must be a trigger pull motion. Now, even if you have a super tight trigger and it doesn't have a visible travel pull, and it's almost like pushing a button, it's still a pulling motion that you need to be making. If it looks like you're sort of like bump firing it, that's what the vibrating would be, is more of like a bump fire. That would classify as what we were calling feathering or walking the trigger. You got to have a fully enclosed trigger guard, so can't remove those trigger guards for your gloves there. You're restricted to 1,000 BBs per round. Now, normally that means you can reload in between each round of a match, unless we specify otherwise, like we did in our pistol shotgun tournament, where you got 1,000 BBs per match, not per round. So we give some examples there. You can have 4 EPM ones to hit the 1,000 rounds, because those are 250 mid caps. But you can't enter with 6 EPM1 S's. Those are the short ones, because that would put you at 1020.
You could do 5 EPM1Ss and 1 EPM.
Yes. Yep. 5 EPM1Ss and 1 regular EPM will put you, I think it's just under 1,000. Or is it right at it?
The EPM should be 1/5, so that would put you at the exactly at 1,000 if you're tapped out.
And these were, if you remember that penalty for bad gear, That's where this gets classified out here. But you'll be disqualified and able to be replaced if the team has a registered substitute additionally. The match in which the said rule was broken will be forfeited and counted as a loss. So that is a big one there on that one. That comes with that penalty. Again, that's up to the head ref's discretion on if he wants to do that. Yep. If he feels that you breaking this rule gave your team the win, he can disqualify it and count it as a loss. Adapters are authorized in all forms for pistols and shotguns. So your taps, your monks, all that are fine. And any one of them, the ones that take the pistol mag. Go ahead.
Including the brand one from Tap Airsoft with the shotgun rounds for the high caps.
Yeah. So on the round limit here, are we still restricting 1,000 BBs if you're using shotgun shells and green gas mags? Or are we doing...
If somebody wants to carry enough green gas mags to hit 1,000, be my guest.
Okay. Okay.
Same with shotgun shells. If you want to go out there looking like Rambo, be my guest.
Okay. So it's still a thing. Somebody's gonna want to do it. So I just wanted to see if that was still So yeah, you can.
It'll most likely be Indy.
Only shotguns that are permissible are ones that are pump action and fire a maximum of 6 BBs per trigger pull. So no flak 5s or flak 10s. Gotta be pump action.
Jam.
Goggles and face mask protection, same as our open plays, just about any other field, I think. You gotta have full frontal face protection with either a goggle system or a face mask manufactured for airsoft and paintball. Goggles must be worn always in the arena. And what the arena is if you, at ShotZone specifically, if you are touching turf, you need to have your goggles on. Unless...
You have to have them on.
Yeah, like you have to have them on when you're on the turf. Unless we designate the field as hot or cold. We sometimes do that during the tournaments. We'll have a time where the field is cold, where there's no replicas on the field, and we allow you to walk out there without a face mask on. But you will be informed of when it is hot and cold. As far as clothing goes
is just think it's always hot.
Yeah, assume it's hot and then bring your mask and wear it when you walk out there, and then when you find out it's not, you can take it off.
Yep.
So the clothing, we're not super strict about team jerseys. You just need to wear something that, shows that you're a team. Like I think it was Pug. Yeah, they just wore like white t-shirts. They were all different type.
Nashville Phantoms also wore white hoodies.
Yeah, just something that shows you're on a team. If it's all black shirts, we're not super picky about they got to have the same design on it. You just need to look like a team in some way. Which then that's just to help the refs determine who's on what side and stuff like that. Prohibited equipment, no grenade launchers, unfortunately. No Thunder Bees, tornadoes, or any grenades, if that matter. No riot shields or melee weapons. No flashlights or stationary strobes. No disrupting sound-emitting devices. No ramping, burst, binary, or any advantageous programming of the FCU. Round outcome appeals. This came up, I think, twice at the last one. You have 10 minutes from the conclusion of your round, and the decision of the dispute rests solely on the head ref or event coordinator and will not be argued once they make that decision. And any arguing with the event staff after that decision is made or aggression will not be tolerated.
Yep.
So if you're wanting to dispute that, you've got 10 minutes from the conclusion of your match to get, your footage, whatever it is that you have in your case, to appeal it. You got 10 minutes to do that, and head ref or event coordinator has the final say. So I think covered just about anything that would need to be talked about. Does anybody have any questions? Give it a little bit here.
I will go ahead and say, as we develop the field more, if adjustments need to be made, the very top of the page, right underneath the Competitive ShotZone logo, actually has the date to which it has been updated. So if you scroll to the very first page, you can see there's CSZ Rules and Regulations updated 2/18 of 22. If you have a old copy of this, you can tell by scrolling or just visiting the website and making sure the copy that you have potentially printed off. I know some people print them off to have on hand. You can make sure that yours is updated prior to the event.
Yep, and then just to go over it again, how to get to it, you'll go to shotzoneindy.com/tournaments. It should be pinned in the chat there, and then you will click on the read official rules here. It'll open up a new tab here, and you can download them, print them, bookmark this. If you're always concerned about being up to date, I recommend just bookmarking the shotzoneindy.com/tournaments for multiple reasons. One, it's where you can see when the tournaments are, what they are, if they're anything special, and register for them, as well as access the official rules. And then that will always be the most up-to-date rules on that link there.
Correct. So do you want to go ahead and say what the next tournament's going to be?
I'll leave that to you, man. That's you're the event coordinator there. I'm just the guy that pushes buttons and talks into the microphone.
So the May event will be a 5v5 CSZ again, just so that we can kind of get the rules to a better understanding. I know that as we've started the whole shindig, we've been kind of jumping through different play styles, mostly just to give you guys an ability to just try something different other than just what the status quo is. But for this one, we are going to maintain the CSZ rules, do a 5v5. If there's enough interest after this May 1, June could potentially be a 4v4. I know that there's been a lot of interest in 4v4s. Let's see. Can we get a bracket rule? No, we don't need a bracket rule because you guys aren't getting the brackets early anymore. And Samson says noob tournament.
Yes.
I don't see why we couldn't do that.
So generally speaking, again, like we said earlier, those rules are all up to the interpretation of the head ref. If you have newer people and they want to come out and try it, they are more than welcome to come and enter in a regular one. And if it is in agreement with everyone there, like I know we've done it before. We let a newer team use, I think they only had like high caps and whatnot, and not all of them had tracers. We've been kind of lenient on that for newer teams or newer players that want to play competitively, but that is up to the discretion of the head ref. I know we've done that before.
Typically, the head ref will consult with the other team captains to make sure that they're on the same page. That way, that there's nobody that's upset that somebody isn't following. Because I think at the end of the day, everybody wants to see the sport grow, and people realize that sometimes it's quite the financial investment to get everything that you need in order to compete. So.
Yep, and I know I can't speak for everyone, but I know just about every team captain. I don't know of a team captain out there that would say, no, I don't want that new team competing because they don't have mid caps or a tracer unit.
I would say though, if there is an intent to try to do that, to go ahead and reach out to myself or just the ShotZone page. That way that
Yeah.
it can be done beforehand, and we're not, on tournament day, like running around asking team captains and then
Yeah.
have somebody that's upset or what have you.
Yeah, but as far as a tournament for new players, if there's enough newer players and newer teams, I know we
Mm-hmm.
had the youth tournament that did pretty decent for the first one. We sort of did that in conjunction with the inaugural tournament. So we had the inaugural tournament on Saturday, and then I think the following week we had the youth tournament. That could be something we could look into doing. Um, or even if you have newer players that are coming from out of town and they're going to be here, we can have the main tournament on Saturday, and then Sunday is we normally do open plays, but we could, if enough people showed up during the open play, set up sort of a noob tournament where it's the same rules apply, but we're a little bit more lenient on the gear and whatnot, but it's to get you used to that competitive play. And that can happen at any open play. If you have enough people or that you want to do that and run scrimmages, you can just talk to whoever the ref is, and they'll be more than happy to get the timer, run the clock, and everything like that, and treat it like it's a tournament.
Yep. Obviously, you won't have the full manning of a normal tournament if you go about it that way, but as far as the referees go.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's yeah. If enough people show interest in wanting to do a noob tournament, we could most certainly make that happen. Yes,
Yeah,
pseudo.
shooting. Yeah, pseudo tournaments. I mean, that's the nice thing about our facility is we can easily do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. We can. I mean, if you, like I said, Sunday after the tournament, if there's enough people there and they want to run one, and everybody that's on in the open play is on board with it, I mean, yeah, we can do that.
Not to mention, the facility is open for private rental for like scrims and whatnot. So if there's two teams that would like to scrim and practice together, there's no reason that that can't be done during the week.
Yep.
So
Now,
there's also
I know
that.
it's going to get asked. You're not going to get the field layout for that before the tournament.
No,
That will not be released until the day of the tournament.
and you'll get it when you show up and you see the field for the first time.
Yep. We're doing true, well, not true blind layouts, but a blind layout. Um,
Same with the bracket.
Pseudo tournament it's not anything official, Indy. It's just, let's say we've got 4 or 5 teams, or, even just 3 teams in for an open play, and, you break yourselves up into teams however you want, and then whoever's the ref there or whatever can go on challenge or even just draw up a bracket by hand and then just run it like a real tournament at the open play.
Yeah, heck, it doesn't even have to be two or three teams. Like you could literally have 6 people and just break it into twos or
Yeah.
whatever and do it that way.
I know we did it for one of our ref's birthday parties.
Yep.
He wanted to run a little bracket, and we did a little 2v2 tournament with everyone there. Um, so that's kind of what
Super easy.
super easy to do. We can do that at any open play, so long as everybody at the open play is on board with it. And if it's just part of it, then we can work it around, by kind of having it go in waves. The people that want to do the pseudo tournament go out for do their thing, and then the people that just want to do just not be in that sort of manner go out and do their thing, switch back and forth. We can make it work. We get any more questions here?
Um, no, not right now. I am going to work my way into putting the winners of the different tournaments on the actual tournament page. That way that you get some team recognition there on the actual page when people go up. Potentially even putting because I've been getting photos of the winning teams, potentially putting them on the homepage of the ShotZoneIndy.com page so that they get some recognition there as well.
On this one here, on this homepage.
Yep.
Kind of right in here, the winner of the last tournament.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be pretty cool.
And then if you go to the tournaments there, I'm gonna do my best to try and make it in between each of those, have first and third, but
Okay.
just gotta find time, obviously.
Yeah.
The ever elusive best.
Right. I don't think we have any more questions. Nobody has any questions. We're gonna go ahead and get on out of here.
Yep. As always, you can always reach out to the Shot Zone Indie page on Facebook or Instagram. That's always going to be the best way to get in contact with us, as if we are at the field on the weekends when we're open, we're most likely either reffing or helping customers. Looks like we got two things, but more of a personal question, but I'm trying to get more into tech and I'm starting to, by putting a MOSFET in, would it be cool if I did that there so I'm able to ask for help if I get stuck? Absolutely, man. We have, heck, I think about all of both of our head refs, Sarge here and Kenny, are great techs, and I've gotten really proficient since I've entered into sport. So definitely you can do that on it. Indie Outlaws, Indie says, can players share mags like on field? Yeah, as long as you're not dead.
Yeah.
You can't be dead and throw a mag to a teammate. That's still, you're still within the 1,000 round limit.
Yeah, the 1,000 round limit is when you're on the start gate, what you have on your person. So if you really wanted to, you could, as a player, as soon as the game starts, throw a mag or two to someone else, and that would be fine. But you have to be alive when you do it. But when you're at the start gate before the round starts, you can only have 1,000 rounds on you.
Yep. And not a problem, Sam. We enjoy having you guys out, and just want everybody to be able to come and have a resource as far as helping them understand the rules in case they haven't been there, and don't want anybody to get there and be like confused on anything. So
I can't remember the team, but I was watching it on the live stream, and he tried to go back to grab the flag instead of running to get to just to touch the start gate. And they, if I remember right, I think they probably would have ended up winning that if he had not done that. If he would have just went for the start gate and touched it instead of running back for the flag. So do read the rules, and if you have any questions about it, reach out on Facebook, Instagram, and even the day of the tournament. You can ask whoever the head ref is.
and during captain's meeting, if you guys have any concerns as far as the rules go, have your captain armed with those questions and concerns. And then during that captain's meeting, it's a lot easier in the captain's meeting to address
Yes.
questions and concerns versus the overall meeting when there's 45 people or 9. So
yeah, definitely do it through your captain at the captain's meeting.
All right, man. I think we are
I
good.
I think we're good there. Well,
I appreciate everybody coming out, and if you were actually watching and listening, Sam, Indy, Ghost, Cretan, I don't know when you snuck in here. I appreciate you being out here, man.
Yep. All right. All right, guys. Thanks for stopping